Hi class. So now we are ready to write our first program in R. So as you remember, we do in a video talking about R for code. You can see that Bill Gates and other famous computer scientists, they write really small and simple code in their first time playing with computers. So today we're going to start with a very basic introduction to the R programming, just to give a sense of what programming looks like. Let's open our first program shell I gave to you in a class. I believe it should be called, let me see, this introduction to R. So you see, I just open the file with this open file function and go to the place where you put your file. And this is the comments I put to help you to go through this program. Okay, um, let's see. Our first thing is, let's see. Okay, so our first task is to define a variable called n, and we assign a value 10 to this variable. So what does this mean? What this function means? So this is the variable name we defined. It's called n, and this symbol is a symbol of assign value to object. So we assign value of 10 to this object, and we can put Ctrl R to execute this line of code. So it creates a variable of n with value of 10. So every value or everything stored in R is called an object. And we can call this object, call this variable, by just put name n here, and then we execute this code. Then we will see, okay, n. Then this we print the value of n on the screen. Okay, and we can also look at the type of this objects. Because it's an object in n, we can use the mode function, which is a built-in function in R, which would return the type of the object. So it's, as you see, n is a numerical. This is object is a numerical type of object stored in our computer library memory. And we can also do some operation with this variable we defined. For example, we can calculate what's this, 3 multiplied by n, what's the value of this? We know it's 30. Yeah, so we can use this n in our program. And now let's define another object called vector. So if you remember in Excel, let's just show you in Excel. Okay. For example, we have an array of number here, right? And this array of number, we can call it a vector, and we can give a name to this. For example, we can call it vector, say x. So every time I refer to x, oh no, no. So every time I refer to x, I'm referring to this, uh, this array of easily. We can easily call to x. It seems it doesn't show you the entire vectors. But anyway, let's just look at in R. If we define a vector, similarly we first write down the variable name. Let's call it x. We have this assign value operator, and then the function we use to paste this four number together is the C function, which is to combine different numbers into a vector. Let's say this is this is the array of number we want to combine, and we execute this code. Then we create a vector in our memory, which is array of numbers. As you see here, its numbers it has a length of 5. And we can do some operation about this vector. For example, we can find a mean, which is already defined, a built-in function in R. So the mean is 4.4. We can calculate the median, And we can also find, okay, what's the mean of this variable, what's the max of this vector. We can also do sum. There are a lot of functions that are built in R that you can use to analyze these vectors. As you see, we can highlight these four code together and run it together. And we can also perform the operation on the variable we define. For example, we can define a new vector called y, which is the product of m multiplied by the x. So now we create another value called y, and is the product of n and x. So it's just multiply the corresponding value of x. Similarly, we can print y by just highlight this part of the code and put Ctrl R, and then that would execute this highlight code for us. So that's y. We print y here. We can also find the length of the vector, which is a very frequently used function in R. So it's 5. So we know, okay, the length of this vector is 5. Okay, our next object we're going to learn, which is really, really widely used in R, is matrix. So what is matrix? Let's go back to our Excel. So if one array of variable is a vector, then what if we have, say, 3 array of numbers? Just putting some random numbers here. Okay, just putting some. So this table, as you see, is where we store our data. We can give a name to this, say it's M. Then the M would refer to this table of numbers, and we call it a matrix. Okay, and as you can imagine, most of data we store in Excel, it looks like this table. So we can store this table into a matrix, and we can do a lot of operation based on matrix. Let's just show in R. The code we use to construct the matrix is this. Let's first run this code to see what we're doing here. Okay, so here similar, we create this line basically create a matrix called M, and this is the function where you can create a matrix. The idea is first you tell the program how many rows you have. 3 rows, 2 columns. So in Excel, if you visualize this, it would be like we have 3 rows and 2 columns. And then now you're going to put this vector into these empty tables, and the sequence follows is first you fill the first column and then the second column, and so on and so forth. So if you print M, you see, okay, the first 3 numbers is filled in the first column, and the next 3 numbers fill in the second column. So that's how you construct a matrix. And you may wonder, why should I create matrix? Because the reason is that you can do a lot of operation based on the built-in function in R, which would deal with matrix. For example, dimension matrix, then dimension, and the input type is matrix. So you can run this code. It will return the dimension for a matrix. It's 3 rows and 2 columns. It's always come with the row number first and then column numbers. And if you don't know some function in R, you can always put a question mark here and then the function name. And if you run this code in this help document, it will return the help document of the specific function. As you see here, there's 2 ways of using dimension function here. First is to R object, for example, a matrix. You can put the input here, pass the argument to a dimension function, or you can assign value to this dimension function, which would change the dimension of object. Okay. Okay. Now what if we want to retrieve the first, say the first number in okay, that's still belongs to the dimension function. So what if we want to retrieve the, say, the second row and the first column. The second row and the first column, that's 4. What if we want to retrieve this number? We have to tell the computer what we want to retrieve. So what we do here is to use the index of this element, which is the second row and first column, and that would tell the computer you want to retrieve the second row and the first column of this matrix. Remember, you have to use a bracket here instead of parentheses. Parentheses are used for a function. You pass an argument to a function, but bracket is the way you would retrieve element from a vector or from a matrix. So we can run this, it will return 4. So what if you want to retrieve the first, say, the first column? So we know we're going to retrieve the first column. So in the column index, we put 1, and we put nothing in the row column. That means we want to retrieve everything from the first column, all the rows basically. So we see, okay, the first column, which is 2, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, that's okay. What if you want to retrieve, say, the second row and all the columns, so you leave the column empty? That will return the second row, which is 4, 5. Great. Okay, our last operation about matrix is to give name to the column. As you see here right now, the column doesn't have name, is referred as first column and second column. What if we want to give a name to the column? So what we do here is column, let me see, column name, okay, of, say, column name of the matrix M. It should equals to, we're going to give a name because you have 2 columns, so we're going to make a vector which contain the name of these two columns. Say it's called C1 and C2. We'll run this code. Now we can print M again. You can see we changed the name to C1 and C2. Sometimes this may looks trivial, but sometimes it's very important because you have to, when you have a data, you want to refer each variable by name, then this function will be very useful. Now you can, since we already defined the column name, now we can retrieve the column by their name. Say we can say we want to go, okay, we want to retrieve say the first column, so we can call its name. Now we have the first column. You can also do, say, with the first, we want to retrieve the third row and the second column. You can do this. Then we have 7, which is this. Okay, so that's the very basic operation. With R, we learn how to define a variable, a vector, and matrix, and we learn some basic function built in R to deal with this object we just defined.